right now. Let's go to him. Texas Rangers superstar Marcus Semien. Good afternoon, sir.
How you guys doing?
Good. Man, I appreciate you jumping on with us. And I wanted to ask you specifically about something that happened yesterday in the game. I know it's early. It's only the first or second inning. We're early in spring training. But you're already on the ground diving for the ball. I appreciate that level of hustle. Is that just instinct? You're like, I don't care if it's spring training or not. I got to dive for that play.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to play games. So you definitely want to see what balls you can get to and give all the effort you can for these pitchers. You know, we have guys who are trying to make the ball club, so any way we can help them by giving it our all is, what we're supposed to do.
Hey Marcus, this might end up being like a three-part question, so I'm going to ask you one after another here. What can you explain? Like, I got to talk to Michael Young about this once, and I liked hearing how he thought when he went up to the plate. When you step up to the plate, what has throughout your career been the Marcus Semien approach?
Well, when I'm going really good, it's just kind of looking for a fastball in the heart of the plate and being on time for it and reacting to breaking balls up in the zone to hit. And, when you have that approach and it's working and you're laying off of the off speed out of the zone, like, it's a really good place to be. I've had some years where I've carried that throughout the entire year and had really good years. Other years I've had to maybe shift where I'm looking for the ball. I do damage on the ball on the inner third a lot, so just kind of hunting for my pitch and, if it's not there, try and take. With that comes, hey, they could paint 3 balls on the outside corner and get you out, but it gives you more of a chance to do damage, I think.
Okay, and I'm going to look at that as kind of like the general idea. When you go up and you're leading off a game, is there a different mentality? Because Mike and I have been talking a little bit about this. When growing up, it always seemed like, hey, I want to get about 5 pitches at least as a leadoff hitter, maybe 7. But you get up there, and if you see your pitch, you're drilling it. Do you have a different approach when you're leading off a game as opposed to maybe whenever it turns around later on in the lineup?
Yeah, I think it depends on the pitcher you're facing. Sometimes you want to take advantage of every pitch in the middle of the plate you can, regardless of if it's the first pitch of the game or not. Other guys who may be all over the zone a little bit, you try and make them work a little bit and try and get ahead by seeing one. But for me, there's really no rhyme or reason. In 2019, I took the first pitch a lot. I'd say 2023, I swung at the first pitch a lot and was able to hit a ton of leadoff homers. So both ways have kind of been successful for me. But if you can see the ball and hit the ball and do damage like that, that's the best place to be.
Marcus Semien here on The Fan. Marcus, when it comes to spring training, is there a certain day, not that the date's going to be March 15th or March 20th, but is there a certain game that you can kind of look at during spring training and go, okay, I'm ready. I've gotten my at-bats. I've seen enough pitches. I am ready for the season to start. I know that I'm ready for opening day.
I don't know. I think that once we get to the exhibition games, you really feel that because we're in our home stadium. You're in a big league stadium, and but we do have a lot of things to check off here. Whether it's playing in a night game first, or just hitting a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and hitting it hard, or just different things like that. So we're still very early in camp, and as we move along, you get more comfortable in the box, and you show up to opening day, hopefully, with good fastball timing and a good idea where the strike zone is.
Obviously, yesterday wouldn't have been the best day to play 9 innings. That was a long game yesterday. Does it feel different when you get to whatever date it is and Skip Boach tells you, hey, today, to get ready, because we're getting very close, you're going to play all 9 innings?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we come in, first game, 2 at-bats. For me, I hit leadoff, so that could mean only 3 innings on defense. As we get to 4 at-bats and play 9 innings, that's definitely a thing you want to check off just to make sure you're good to go. And the next day, just seeing how you bounce back. But we train all off season for this, and you can't simulate games any other way than playing them. So it definitely takes time.
When you are when you're going into this season after you won a World Series 2 years ago, you had not the best season last year. do you have to say, I'm making a bunch of different changes? Or are you like, you know what, we're going to get back to something? What was the feeling, the vibe from the manager on down to this team?
Yeah, I think we really have last year to look at what went wrong. We also have 2023 to say, hey, this is what I was doing when I was clicking, right? Or even early in 2024 when things were clicking a little bit better. So you always go back. You always go back to times where I was really swinging the bat well. Hey, what was I doing here? Let's try and work on that, get that feel back. But as we get older, our body changes. Our just different things you think about. Maybe it won't look the same on video when you try it again. But at the end of the day, we're in there to compete. And any way we can stay short to the baseball and have a good eye, we will work towards that.
I think all three of us on this show, we grew up baseball nerds. We love the game itself, but during the off season, as new players were being added to it, we had to recreate our lineups over and over. And I have about 50 different pieces of paper that I crumbled up and threw away. Do you do that too? Do you like sit there and go, all right, I'm going to draw my own lineup up today?
I really don't. I kind of think about who we have now. Definitely have to think about what position guys are playing. We have a very deep lineup, so we have guys that could be starting on other teams that may be coming off the bench here. In terms of where guys are hitting in the lineup, Corey and I going 1-2 has been pretty consistent here for the last 3 years. I think if we're both swinging the bat well, that's a good combination. The 3-hole has kind of been not revolving door, but it's been a little different lately. But I think if you get a healthy Evan Carter, he's a guy who really can step into that role just like he did in the World Series. Adolis is obviously a guy who can drive in 100 runs, and he really lives for the big moment. And he is an RBI guy. So those top four, that's what I would write in. But I'm not the manager. But we'll see how we all play and how it shakes up.
Marcus, I love baseball, but if any point in my life a coach would have told me, whether teenager or kid, or said, you know what, we think you're a catcher, I would have said, you know what, I quit baseball. If somebody would have ever told you in your life, Marcus, we think you should try catching, would you have put on that gear, or would you have said, I'm going to do something else, Coach?
Well, I'd played catcher probably at 9 years old. I got hit right in the cup, and that was like the last day I played catcher. But baseball, I do love the game of baseball too. And if that was the only opportunity I had to stay in the game, I probably would try it.
Do you think there's a misconception that the cup makes you impervious to any pain? Like, I think people have the wrong idea that like you feel nothing if it hits you there.
No, you don't feel nothing. You do not feel nothing, but it definitely gives you a fighting chance to survive a little bit better. But I've played with guys like Stephen Vogt, who had a really bad one at the end of his season. A couple other guys in the minor leagues where surgery was needed. So those are both at the catcher position. So it is a tough position for sure.
You wear a cup at second base, right?
Yes.
Because we know we had Adrian Beltre here forever, and he didn't wear a cup at third base. And I felt like every infielder I ever played with wore a cup. How common is it in today's game that infielders don't wear cups?
It's hit or miss. I think that guys who don't wear a cup better have some good hands. Adrian had good hands. But it's just kind of second nature for me. It's part of the uniform for me, and as long as I'm playing infield, I'll definitely have one.
Do you have to make sure and be careful not to ever walk by a teammate and be like, you're not good enough to go without that cup, buddy?
I'm not really paying attention like that.
No. So one of the things that we've heard from a lot, we got a chance to, in the clubhouse, talk with a lot of the younger players, and Sebastian Walcott will tell us about, Corey Seager, Kamar Rocker will tell us about Jacob deGrom, and Jack Leiter, Nate Eovaldi, on and on. How much crossover is there in terms of, young pitchers maybe come to you to ask something, or you tell them something and you're like, hey, I noticed this. Like, how much kind of crossover is that with the pitching and the offense?
Yeah, I think definitely the first week of camp we get here and right away we're facing live pitching, right? So we may face a guy like Jack Leiter or somebody who is in AAA or AA that is a prospect, right? And that's our opportunity to give them feedback after they throw their 20 pitches. The catcher goes out, hey, good job, this is what I saw. But us hitters can also go up there and, tell them what we see, whether they're tipping a certain pitch or, I see this out of the hand easy or whatever the case may be. I think that it is necessary for young players to talk to veterans, any pitcher to talk to hitter, just to get feedback so that once we get into battle and we're all on the same team, we have all the information we need.
Marcus, one of my first ever favorite players was Ricky Henderson, and he was there at the last games in Oakland. I know that you got to know him, and it hurt me that he passed away. Just didn't ever think that would be the last time we saw Ricky Henderson there in Oakland. Do you have a Ricky Henderson story you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, as an Oakland A for 6 years and a Bay Area kid, I definitely made the effort to try and get to know Ricky. He was in the special assistant role where he could come in the clubhouse, be around the guys, even play cards with us, just be one of the guys like he used to be. And, Ricky was my dad's favorite player when he was growing up. So when I got traded to Oakland, I would take ground balls every day, and Ricky would be catching me at first base during batting practice. And my dad had batting practice passes, and he couldn't believe that I was throwing the ball to his favorite player as a kid. And it's something I just thought, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. And I got to introduce Ricky to my dad during BP, and that was probably one of the coolest things for us as a father and son, just to make that connection. But in terms of the person, he's just a guy who loves baseball, and him being from Oakland Tech High School in the East Bay. I always felt like I had that connection to Ricky, even though I was not half the player I'm not half the player he was, but just to try and talk baseball with him and learn from him and just connect on that level was great.
Is it humbling at all to know that there's probably hundreds, maybe thousands of kids that feel that exact same way about you?
Yeah, definitely. Just being in the community, living in Texas, year round. I'm around young kids a lot because my kids play baseball. So just seeing, that excitement when they see me, it makes me feel good. We definitely have left our mark on the DFW area just with our championship team. And, sometimes it doesn't feel real to me. I'm like, they don't recognize me, but, it does happen. And, my kids, I want them to have a normal childhood and normal experience playing baseball. But, yeah, when we go to the tournaments and stuff, it is, cool to see the interaction that kids want to have with me as a Ranger player.
Talk with Marcus Semien right here on 105.3 The Fan, your home of the Rangers. I know we can talk baseball all day long, and we'll probably get back to that in a second, but I have a very important question for you. Are you worried that they're going to mess up the Happy Gilmore sequel? Because I'm a little nervous that this movie is not going to be as good as I need it to be.
Is that officially out?
It's not out.
When is that happening?
It's coming out this year, and I'm worried that too much time has passed, and we're going to be like, oh, should have left this on the cutting room floor,
Yeah, I'm not worried. I think that is a classic. It's obviously a younger Adam Sandler, and I'm sure, I don't know if Shooter McGavin, what's his last name, McDonald, the actor?
Yeah, he is in it. He's in it.
So those guys, yeah, they're a little older, but, I think just the idea and the story is something that's awesome, and I'd definitely tune in.
Is there a radio-friendly go-to quote you have from that movie?
Well, they asked me that the other day, and I just like the Bob Barker scene, and, there's a bad word at the end of it, but when Happy says the price is wrong, blank, that's probably the funniest part to me.
Outstanding, man. Thank you very, very much for the time. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys.